Hey y'all, it is a new week at the Hyatt house. We are over in the room that's going to become the kitchen, and the guys are spending all this week preparing, adding dead wood for where we're going to need it when we hang our sheetrock. And we're looking up at the ceiling, and some of these beams are a little bit lower than others. So that's going to make it tricky when we hang sheetrock. You don't want a ceiling that goes like this, that looks like the ocean. So they're going to pull a plumb line and figure out, or a level line really, and figure out what we need to do, if we need to jack some of these beams up and give them a little more support. So that is what we're working on today. So now they're pulling a level line so we can see how off some of these beams are. Okay, so they jacked it up to the height they wanted, and now they're trying to get shims in there where the one beam bears on the other. And it's a tight fit. All right, there are a bunch of shims in there. That's the light colored wood to get that to the height, to keep it at the height that they jacked it to. And now we're going to do the next one. Okay, so they jacked that one and then these two. And if you see that string up there, it's much better. This one right here is too short, but that's okay. We can sister one up to that pretty easy. It's when one hangs too low that you have a problem. That first one that they jacked is still just a little bit too low, so they're gonna raise it up just a tiny bit more, and then we will have, while it may not be level, at least it will hang as a flat, even ceiling. So they finished jacking up those beams. You can see all the shims up there. That wall is, or that beam is now much closer to level. We have decided the best way to support that, these beams here, is we are gonna do a secondary wall here like we did over there. So they went ahead and took the chair rail off of there. We'll put it back for sure, but we took it off. And now they are blocking in this wall. If you remember, this wall was added, lath and plaster was right up here between that top plate of that wall and that beam. So they have, there was space and that wall was wiggly. So they have already done that. Gio's working on doing it here too. And then this wall is going to be much more stable. So we've taken a break from putting in deadwood and jacking up beams to work on these hardwood floors. Do you remember I showed you in the main bedroom? Remember we opened this wall up and we had two different floors? So Jesus has worked really hard to get these. He has feathered all these boards in. None of them are in place, but he has cut them all. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. Next, he's gonna slide them in and nail them down. So it's gonna look great. And then I think I told you we're gonna take a board from upstairs that'll match these floors to make our threshold. It's gonna go right there. All right, the flooring is going in. So that the floors don't creak and crack, we're putting a little glue down, and then we're also nailing the boards in place. We're using this is my favorite, the pneumatic floor nailer. Check this out. Love that thing. So that's putting nails through the side. Actually, it's really doing like staples through the side of the board so you don't have nails on the top of your board. So a few boards down, we're gonna make our way all the way down the length of the room. Okay, so it took the better part of a day to do this, but we now have all of our hardwoods feathered in. They come all the way to this wall, which is great. Obviously, we got a couple of different finishes happening here. That's because these were not here originally, but I have an awesome flooring guy who's gonna sand these down and refinish them, and you'll never know that this was added in. We've still got to deal with this threshold here because, mainly because we have a height change. But what we'll do is take a board, probably gonna take one of those big boards up there, that's the flooring on the 3rd floor behind the knee wall, and put it right here. We'll do some beveling so that you'll have kind of a really small ramp going from that height to this height. You might notice that we don't have any windows back here. So these, as far as we can tell, are the original windows. Here's one still here. They're in pretty bad shape. So what the guys are doing is taking them out one at a time, scraping the glass. A lot of the glass has paint and old glazing on them. We are reglazing all the panes, replacing any panes that are broken, and putting nails and screws in the windows to sturdy them up. So we'll go over there in a second. We've already done those windows. But right now, we're enjoying this beautiful breeze. So here are some windows that they're working on. And you can see how fine that is. So they've taken all these pieces of glass out, they've scraped them clean, and then they're gonna re-glaze. Glazing is the caulky stuff that goes around that holds the panes in place. Normally this is done from the exterior, but since we're high up, it makes a lot more sense to just take these out and do them and then put them back in. So you're not doing that from a ladder. So this is the top half of that window. So these have already come out, been reworked, and are back in. Some of these are just new panes, but some of them are old. I don't know if I can get it where you can see. Yeah, you can kind of see the texture in these old panes. We're taking great pains to save the old panes whenever we can. There's some over here as well. So working on windows. And then we're going to get back to framing here pretty soon, hopefully. So I showed you where we patched the floors over here. The next thing we're doing is putting another course of hardwoods along the walls that are perpendicular to the river. So you had lath and plaster and an original baseboard, and then a newer baseboard in front of it. So the hardwood floors were added after all that was done, so they didn't quite go all the way to the walls. So we are putting one more strip so that we don't have to worry so much about furring our walls out, or at least furring our baseboards out. Here is a better example to show you that the secondary level of hardwoods don't go all the way to the wall. So we're going to do the same thing in this room. We're going to run one more strip of hardwoods right there. We'll pop that cut piece out and put a new piece in. Now we have the same problem here. You see they don't come all the way to these walls either. Now we don't have enough to feather it in all the way along here. So we're gonna have to get creative on what we do with the walls that are parallel to the river. So while I'm standing here, I'm looking at these old square nails. So can you see that these would have been hand cut square nails? And about, I'm gonna say 99% of the nails that we have found in this house are square. There's a few modern nails, but everywhere you look in the debris, square nails. These little guys were used to nail the lath. And then, of course, the plaster was on the lath. They're everywhere. Here's one. There's a bunch over there. And then where the house was put together with nails versus pegs, you've got bigger ones. Well, that's more left over from the lath. But on the rare occasion where they did use nails for the construction, they're big old square nails. I'll find one and show you. All right, here's a box of some we've been picking up. So see, that looks like a cleaner, newer square nail. That's a pretty old one right there. And it's a good bit bigger than those little guys like I was just picking up. So, just cool old square nails. Okay, last thing about nails. This is a scrap of the hardwoods that he pulled up when he feathered in. You can see those square nails. These boards are not near as old as the rest of the house. I'm guessing they were some form of power machine made. But because there's square nails to put them down, we know they're probably not newer than the 20s or 30s. And going back to, we think a lot of renovations were done on this house in the 20s. So, all right, enough about nails. So we figured out the best thing to do is we're gonna cut this line straight, and we're just gonna put one board running the wrong direction, running perpendicular to the rest of the boards. By the time we put sheetrock and then baseboard, there won't be that much of it showing. I think by the time we refinish, they'll just blend right in. So we're cutting over here a flush straight line, and then we're just gonna put one board the width of the room. All right, so we are wrapping up another busy week over at the Hyatt house. I'm on the ground floor. We finished doing some blocking and deadwood. This is that wall that was wiggly. It's very sturdy now. It's not going anywhere. My plumber was here earlier, and he gave us good news that everything that we thought was gonna work with running all of our plumbing between these beams is gonna work. We may have to drop this ceiling just a little bit to accommodate all of the lines, but that's okay. It's a very tall, long and skinny hall, so I don't think anyone's gonna notice if we drop the ceiling a little bit. My engineers are here today. They are helping us figure out where else we need to do some support. You remember last week we replaced that and we built this wall over here. We've decided we're gonna do the same thing over here. We're gonna do a second wall there. And the reason we can do that is because we're patching up that door. So that is another week of not a lot of discoveries, but a lot of lumber. Over at the Hyatt house. So glad you're here. Come back soon. While you are here, subscribe, like, comment. You know the drill by now. And come back next week and we'll see what else we've accomplished at the Hyatt house.